I stood in the doorway of my office, looking at the framed photo on my desk. The ground broke on my first project 38 years ago. My wife Sarah stood beside me, her hand on my shoulder, 8 months pregnant with Emily. The company had been nothing but a dream and a loan back then. Now it employed over 200 people across Arizona. And I was about to sign it all over to my daughter. But something felt wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it exactly. Emily had worked beside me for 15 years, climbing from project coordinator to VP of operations. She knew every aspect of Chen construction. She'd earned this. Sarah would have been proud. So why did my gut twist every time I looked at the succession documents? The retirement party was scheduled for 6 weeks out, my 63rd birthday. Emily had insisted on making it a big celebration, inviting clients, subcontractors, everyone we'd worked with over the decades. She'd even hired an event planner. "You deserve this, Dad," she'd said, squeezing my hand. "You built something amazing. Now, it's time to enjoy it." I'd nodded, smiled, signed the preliminary paperwork. But that feeling wouldn't leave. It started small. Numbers that didn't quite match when I reviewed quarterly reports. Emily explaining them away with accounting adjustments I didn't fully understand. She was better with the financial side than I ever was. Always had been. Then there were the meetings. Emily taking calls in her office with the door closed, which wasn't unusual, except she'd snap at anyone who interrupted. Even me, especially me. "Dad, I've got this," she'd say, irritation flashing in her eyes. "You hired me to handle operations, remember? Let me do my job." I'd backed off. She was right. I'd spent 38 years as the guy who had to control everything. Maybe this unease was just me struggling to let go. But then Miguel called. Miguel Rodriguez had been my foreman since the beginning. Not literally the first day, but close enough. 26 years with Chen Construction. He'd taught Emily how to read blueprints when she was 13. Let her tag along to job sites during summer breaks. He'd been at Sarah's funeral, standing in the back of the church with the rest of the crew. Every single one of them. "Mr. Chen." His voice was low on the phone. "It was 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. Can you meet me somewhere?" Not the office. Maybe that diner on Indian School Road? My stomach dropped. "What's going on? Please, just not on the phone." I sat across from Miguel in a worn vinyl booth, watching him stir his coffee for the third time without drinking it. He was 61, built like the steel beams he'd spent decades working with, and I'd never seen his hands shake before. "I don't even know how to say this," he started. "Just say it." He pulled out his phone, opened his photos, and slid it across the table. It was a screenshot of an email, Emily's email address at the top. The recipient was someone named Douglas Morrison at Morrison Development Group. I knew Morrison. Everyone in Phoenix Construction knew Morrison. They were our biggest competitor, cutthroat, willing to bend safety regulations, undercut bids by using inferior materials. Everything Chen Construction had built our reputation on not being. I read the email once, then again, then a third time, hoping the words would change. "Confirm receipt of structural reports for Chandler Medical Plaza and Tempe Heights Residential. Payment process to offshore account, as discussed. Phase 3, asset liquidation, to begin after transition complete." "I don't understand," I said. Even though I did, my brain just wouldn't accept it. "There's more." Miguel took the phone back, scrolled, showed me another email, then another. 3 months of correspondence. Emily wasn't just in contact with Morrison. She was selling him everything. Client lists, bid strategies, proprietary designs, active project details. She was selling my company piece by piece before she even officially owned it. "How did you get these?" My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. Her assistant, Carla. "She came to me 2 weeks ago, said something felt off. Emily had her sending files to personal email addresses, creating duplicate invoices, moving money around. Carla's been with us 8 years, you know? She was scared to come directly to you. Emily's her boss, so she came to me." I stared at the photo on my phone screen. Sarah and Emily at her college graduation. Emily in her cap and gown, holding her engineering degree. both of them beaming. Sarah had been so proud. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer would take her 8 months later. But in that photo, she was radiant. I thought I'd taught her right, I said quietly. Sarah and we raised her to value integrity, hard work, loyalty. I know you did, Mr. Chen. She watched me turn down projects because the client wanted us to cut corners. She was there when I ate the cost of that hotel renovation because the original materials weren't up to our standards, even though it wasn't in the contract. She saw how we did business. Miguel nodded but didn't speak. What else did Carla find? He showed me. It was worse than I'd imagined. Emily had been falsifying safety inspection reports on 3 active job sites. The Chandler Medical Plaza, our biggest current project, had foundation issues that should have been addressed months ago. Emily had signed off on the inspections herself, buried the real reports, and kept the project moving. If that building failed, people could die. At minimum, we'd face lawsuits that would destroy everything I'd built. There's something else. Miguel's voice dropped even lower. The equipment. What about the equipment? She's been selling it. Cranes, excavators, the new concrete mixer we just bought. Selling them and reporting them as in use on job sites. Using rentals instead and pocketing the difference. I felt like I was falling. The diner spun around me. Mr. Chen, you okay? I wasn't okay. My daughter, my only child, the person I'd built this company for, had been systematically dismantling it for months. Maybe longer. How long had this been going on? I need to see everything, I said. Every email, every document, every irregularity Carla found. I've got it all on a drive back at my place. I didn't want to bring it to the office or email it. Didn't know who might be watching. Watching? Emily's got Dylan Spencer handling some of her private work now. Dylan Spencer. My stomach turned again. Spencer had been a project manager I'd fired 3 years ago for forging inspection certificates. I'd caught him, reported him, made sure he couldn't work in Arizona construction again. And Emily had brought him back. We left the diner. I followed Miguel to his house in Glendale, sat at his kitchen table while his wife Maria made coffee. Neither of us would drink, and watched him lay out the evidence. It was comprehensive. Carla had been documenting everything for 2 months. Bank transfers to shell companies. Emails to Morrison outlining the complete handover plan. Text messages to Dylan Spencer about which inspections to falsify. Contracts with equipment dealers selling off our machinery. The final piece was a recorded phone call. Carla had been in Emily's office, dropping off documents when Emily took a call on speaker. She'd hit record on her phone. Emily's voice came through clear as crystal. No, Morrison. The old man suspects nothing. He's so eager to retire and play golf. He barely looks at anything I put in front of him anymore. 6 weeks, and Chen Construction is yours. Well, the part's worth buying. The rest we'll liquidate. Morrison's laugh. Your father built a hell of a company. Shame he trusted the wrong person. He built it on being stubborn and old-fashioned. There's more money in working the system than working against it. He never understood that. And you're sure the safety issues won't come back on us? By the time anyone notices, it'll be his signature on all the documents, not mine. He's still the CEO. Let him take the fall. The recording ended. I sat in Miguel's kitchen, staring at the coffee cup in front of me, and felt 38 years of my life collapse. This wasn't just business betrayal. This was my daughter, planning to destroy my reputation, let me take the blame for her crimes, and walk away rich, while people potentially died from compromised construction. Mr. Chen? Maria's hand on my shoulder. Breathe. Just breathe. I realized I'd stopped breathing. My chest felt crushed, like one of our concrete mixers had rolled over it. I need time, I managed. Time to think. Time to figure out what to do. What are you going to do? Miguel asked. I don't know yet. But I can't let her see that I know. Not yet. I went home to the house Sarah and I had bought 35 years ago. Emily had grown up here, learned to ride her bike in the driveway, brought home her first boyfriend to meet us on this porch. Her childhood bedroom was still upstairs, unchanged since she moved out at 22. I sat in my office, surrounded by photos of construction projects, buildings I'd put up across Phoenix, schools, hospitals, office buildings, hundreds of homes. Every one built to code, built to last, built with integrity. And my daughter was willing to burn it all down for money. I thought about Sarah, about the nights she'd stayed up with baby Emily, the school plays we'd attended, the way she'd coached Emily through calculus homework at this very desk. Sarah had been the heart of our family. When she died, I thought Emily and I had grown closer in our grief. Had I missed something? Some sign that Emily wasn't who I thought she was? Or had I been so focused on building the business, on being successful enough to make Sarah proud, that I'd failed to really see my daughter? I called my lawyer the next morning. Richard Walsh had handled our contracts for 20 years. I trusted him completely. Richard, I need to see you, today. And I need you to not tell anyone, including your secretary, that I'm coming. That sounds serious. It is. In his office downtown, I laid out everything Miguel had shown me. Richard's face grew grimmer with each document. Thomas, this is criminal fraud. Embezzlement. If those buildings fail because of falsified inspections, we're looking at manslaughter charges. I know. You need to go to the police. Today, I need to be sure first. I need more evidence, something that can't be questioned or explained away. Emily's smart. She'll have covered her tracks. You have emails, recorded phone calls, that Carla obtained without Emily's knowledge. A good lawyer might get them thrown out. I need something ironclad. Richard leaned back in his chair. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I need to see what she's really doing, not just digital evidence. I need to catch her in the act. How? That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I'm going to install cameras. In the office, in the warehouse, anywhere she might be operating. Hidden cameras. If she's doing what those emails say, I'll have video proof. Richard looked uncomfortable. That's legally complicated, Thomas. Employee privacy. It's my company, my building. And we're talking about criminal activity, Richard. I'm not trying to spy on bathroom breaks. I'm documenting theft and fraud. Okay, but do this right. Use a professional. Keep the recordings secure. And Thomas, be prepared for what you might find. I hired a security company that afternoon. Not one of the big firms Emily might notice. A small outfit run by a former police detective who specialized in corporate investigations. They came to the office that Saturday, when Emily was supposedly in California meeting with a potential client. Cameras in her office, hidden in the smoke detector and bookshelf. Cameras in the warehouse where we stored equipment. Cameras in the conference room where she held her private meetings. Audio recording in her office, all feeding to a secure server only I could access. Monday morning, I came in early and activated the system. Then I went about my regular routine, reviewing projects, meeting with clients, pretending everything was normal. Emily came in at 9, smiled at me like always. Morning, Dad. Coffee? I'm good, sweetheart. Thanks. Don't forget, we have that meeting with the Scottsdale project team at 2. I'll be there. She squeezed my shoulder as she passed, and it took everything in me not to flinch. For 3 days, I watched and listened. Emily on the phone with Morrison, confirming timelines for the asset transfer. Emily meeting with Dylan Spencer in the warehouse, reviewing falsified safety reports, laughing about how easy it was to fool the inspectors. Emily in her office, transferring money from company accounts to offshore locations. The worst was Thursday afternoon. I sat in my office, watching the feed on my laptop, as Emily sat at her desk and looked at the retirement party invitation she'd had printed. 500 invitations, professionally designed, expensive cardstock. She smiled at it. Actually smiled. Then she called Morrison. Everything's set. Party's in 3 weeks. After that, he's out, I'm in, and we execute the full transfer within 72 hours. He'll spend his retirement fighting fraud charges while we split $40 million in assets and clients. Your old man never saw it coming, Morrison said, voice smug through the speaker. He spent so much time building his perfect reputation, he never realized his daughter didn't care about any of it. Integrity doesn't buy vacation homes, Morrison. Money does. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't keep watching. That night, I called Richard again. I have everything. Video, audio, financial transfers, all of it. Bring it to me, tomorrow. And Thomas, I'm sorry. I know this isn't what you wanted to find. No, it's not. I didn't sleep. I sat in my office at home, looking at photo albums. Emily as a baby, Emily's first day of kindergarten, Emily graduating high school, Emily at her wedding to Mark, who she'd divorced 2 years later. Emily standing beside me at Sarah's grave. At what point had she become someone willing to destroy people? Or had she always been this way, and I'd been too blind to see it? I thought about what Sarah would say. She'd always been the one who could reach Emily when I couldn't, who understood the emotional side of parenting that I'd never quite grasped. Would Sarah have seen this coming? Would she have been able to stop it? Or would she be as devastated as I was? Friday morning, I met with Richard and brought the detective who'd installed the cameras. We spent 4 hours reviewing everything, organizing it, preparing a comprehensive file. "This is enough," Richard said finally. "More than enough. The district attorney will prosecute. Thomas, she's going to prison for this." Prison. My daughter, the girl I'd taught to ride a bike, walked down the aisle, handed my company to. "Are you sure you want to go through with this?" Richard asked gently. "Once you file charges, there's no taking it back." I thought about the workers who depended on Chen Construction for their livelihoods. Miguel, who'd been loyal for 26 years. Maria, Carla, who'd risked her job to do the right thing. The 200 other employees who'd never know how close they came to losing everything. I thought about the families who'd live in buildings Emily had compromised. The patients who'd be treated in that Chandler Medical Plaza she'd approved despite foundation issues. I thought about Sarah, about the values she'd tried to instill in our daughter, about integrity, honesty, putting people before profit. "I'm sure," I said. We went to the police that afternoon. Detectives from the fraud division took our statements, reviewed the evidence, contacted the district attorney. By Monday morning, they had warrants. I was in my office when they came. Emily was in the conference room, on a video call with Morrison, finalizing their plans. She didn't even see the detectives coming. I heard her scream from down the hall, heard her shouting, demanding to know what was happening, insisting there must be a mistake. Then she saw me standing in my doorway. Her face changed. The panic shifted to understanding, then to rage. "You," she hissed as the detectives pulled her past my office. "You did this." "I protected my company," I said quietly, "and the people who depend on it." "I'm your daughter." "My daughter died," I said, "the day she decided to sell out everything her mother and I built." The detectives took her away. I stood in the hallway of my company, surrounded by employees who'd watched the scene unfold, and felt 38 years of fatherhood shatter. Miguel appeared at my elbow. "Mr. Chen, you did the right thing." "Then why does it feel like I just destroyed my life?" "Because you loved her. Love doesn't make betrayal hurt less, makes it hurt more." The investigation moved quickly. With the evidence I'd provided, Emily didn't have much room to maneuver. Her lawyer tried to argue entrapment, illegal surveillance, anything to get the recordings thrown out. But Richard had made sure we did everything by the book. The forensic accountants found even more than we'd documented. Emily had been stealing from Chen Construction for 4 years. Small amounts at first, growing bolder as she realized I trusted her completely. In total, she'd embezzled nearly $6 million. Morrison was arrested too. The plan to acquire Chen Construction through fraud, the acceptance of stolen proprietary information, conspiracy to commit multiple felonies. His lawyer was better than Emily's, but the recorded phone calls were damning. The trial took 11 months. I sat through every day of it, watching my daughter lie on the stand. She claimed I'd framed her out of jealousy, that I couldn't handle her being more successful than me. She said I'd fabricated evidence because I was senile and paranoid. Her lawyer painted me as a controlling father who couldn't let go of power, who'd rather destroy his daughter than let her succeed. The jury didn't buy it. How could they, with hours of video and audio of Emily planning, executing, and celebrating her crimes? The verdict came back on a Friday afternoon. Guilty on 19 counts. Fraud, embezzlement, falsifying safety documents, conspiracy, theft. The list went on. Sentencing was 3 weeks later. The judge, a woman about my age who'd spent 20 years on the bench, looked at Emily with something like disappointment. Miss Chen, you had every advantage. A successful father, a thriving company handed to you, the trust of hundreds of employees. You chose to betray all of that for personal gain, with no regard for the lives you endangered or the people you hurt. This court sentences you to 15 years in federal prison, Emily screamed. She turned in her seat, looked directly at me, and screamed that I'd ruined her life, that I was a vindictive old man who couldn't stand to see her succeed. I sat in the gallery and said nothing. What was there to say? Mark, her ex-husband, found me in the hallway after. We hadn't spoken in the 2 years since their divorce. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry, he said. I should have warned you. I left because she was stealing from me too. From my accounts, my business. I thought if I just walked away quietly, she'd leave me alone. I should have told you. It's not your fault. She was good at hiding it. Really good. I almost didn't catch her. After he left, I sat on a bench in the courthouse hallway and let myself feel it. The grief, the anger, the sense of complete failure as a father. I had built a successful company but raised a daughter who'd become a criminal. Miguel found me there an hour later. Come on, Mr. Chen. Let me buy you a drink. I don't drink. Neither do I. We'll get coffee. We sat in a quiet diner, the same one where he'd first told me about Emily's betrayal. It felt like a lifetime ago. You did the right thing, Miguel said again. You saved the company, saved jobs, maybe saved lives, with those compromised buildings. I know, but it doesn't feel like winning. No, it doesn't. My oldest son, Miguel said slowly. He got into drugs when he was 23. Maria and I tried everything. Rehab, tough love, second chances. Nothing worked. Finally, I had to kick him out. Had to tell him he couldn't come back until he got clean. Hardest thing I ever did. What happened? He got clean. Took him 3 years, but he did it. He's 34 now, married, has 2 kids. Been sober 11 years. He thanks me sometimes for not giving up on him, but also not enabling him. Emily's not getting clean from this, Miguel. She's going to prison for 15 years. No, but maybe, somewhere in those 15 years, she'll figure out who she wants to be. Maybe she'll realize what she lost, or maybe she won't. Either way, you gave her the only thing you could. Consequences, accountability. That's love too, even when it doesn't feel like it. I wanted to believe him. But sitting there, imagining my daughter in a prison cell for the next decade and a half, I couldn't feel anything but grief. The company survived, barely. We had to be audited, investigated, scrutinized by every agency imaginable. But the foundation was sound. The buildings I'd built, the reputation I'd earned, they held. We fixed the Chandler Medical Plaza Foundation, even though it cost us millions. I personally oversaw every repair, every inspection. When it opened, I stood outside and looked up at the building, thinking about how close we'd come to disaster. Carla got promoted. I made her VP of Operations, the position Emily had held. She was terrified at first, kept asking if I was sure, if I really trusted her after what happened. You did the right thing when it was hard, I told her. That's exactly who I want running operations. Miguel retired 2 years later, at 63. I threw him a party, gave him a pension that would make sure he and Maria were comfortable. At the party, surrounded by crew members who'd worked with him for decades, he pulled me aside. You doing okay, Mr. Chen? Some days, I said honestly. Some days I'm okay. She write to you? Emily had written from prison, 3 letters in 2 years. Each one was angry, blaming me, insisting I'd destroyed her life. I'd read each one once, then filed them away. Yeah, she writes. You write back? No, I don't know what I'd say. Miguel nodded. Maybe someday you will. I'm 68 now. 5 years since Emily went to prison. Chen Construction is still standing, still building, still maintaining the standards Sarah and I established almost 4 decades ago. I visit Sarah's grave every Sunday. Tell her about the business, about the people, about how I'm trying to keep going. I don't talk about Emily much. Don't know what to say about how I failed as a father. But I'm still here, still working, though not as much as I used to. Training the next generation of project managers, making sure they understand that integrity isn't negotiable, that shortcuts aren't worth it, that the buildings we create outlast us. Last month, I got a letter from Emily. Different from the others, shorter. Dad, I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I forgive myself. But I'm sorry. For everything. For destroying what you built. For hurting you. For betraying Mom's memory. I'm working on becoming someone different. Someone better. I don't know if I'll succeed, but I'm trying. Love, Emily. I read it 3 times. Put it in the desk drawer. Haven't responded yet. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday we'll figure out if there's anything left to salvage between us. Or maybe some betrayals are too deep to heal. But I know this. I did the right thing. For my employees, for my company, for the values Sarah and I believed in. Sometimes doing the right thing means watching everything you built in your personal life come crashing down. Sometimes love means prosecution, accountability, letting someone face the full weight of their choices, even when it breaks your heart. I built a company on integrity. In the end, I had to choose between that integrity and my daughter. I chose integrity. I chose the 200 people who depended on me. I chose the values Sarah died believing in. And I lost my daughter in the process. I don't know if that makes me a good man or a failure as a father. Maybe it makes me both. But I can look at every building Chen Construction has ever erected and know they were built right. Built to last. Built with honesty. That's what I have left. It's not enough. It'll never be enough to fill the hole where my daughter used to be. But it's something. And some days, when I drive past the Chandler Medical Plaza, watching patients go in and out, knowing they're safe because I caught the problems before it was too late, I think maybe it's enough. Maybe integrity doesn't buy vacation homes or repair broken families, but it saves lives. It protects livelihoods. It means something. And in the end, meaning is all any of us can really build.